Hi everyone, welcome back to another video on my channel and thanks so much for tuning in again. Now in today's video I want to talk to you guys about my personal top 10 Fougere fragrances. Now if you don't know what Fougere fragrances are, I'm going to explain this in this video as well, and please stay around to hear about my personal top 10 favorite fragrances of the Fougere category for men. So first of all, if you're new to this channel, thanks for tuning in. If you are new and you like fragrances and you haven't subscribed already, then please do so. The button is just below this video. And please leave a comment with your personal favorite Fougere fragrance if you have one. So first of all, let's talk about what Fougere actually means and why it's called like that. So Fougere is a French word that literally translated means fern. And there was one significant fragrance of the fragrance history, which is called Fougère Royale by the House of Houbigand, which first introduced this type of name to the fragrance community worldwide. And it literally means fern. However, there is no smell of fern, so fern doesn't have any particular smell to it. But that's what it was called, and that's why every other fragrance that smelled a little bit comparable to Fougère Royale has been declared as a Fougere fragrance, and now it's a name for a whole category of fragrances. Now what do these fragrances smell like? They usually smell like barbershop type fragrances. So they have lavender in it, they have oak moss in it, they have like aromatic notes and maybe a little bit of pepper and soapy kind of notes in them, and that's really, and resinous notes also often, and that's really the type of fragrances that we are talking about. So they are classic men's colognes and barbershop type of notes. And the first fragrance that I want to talk to you about is the fragrance Boy by Chanel. Now this is a pretty typical lavender fougere type of fragrance. It has some quite powdery notes, and it's significantly more powdery than the other fragrances on this list and not as focused on lavender and those typical fougere type of notes. However, I personally think it's an awesome fougere fragrance, so if you like more of a powdery kind of DNA associated with a fougere fragrance, then this is an awesome fragrance to try. However, it is quite powdery, and I would recommend that you get the old eau de toilette concentration. They kind of changed everything to eau de parfum. After they changed it, it's not been as good as it was earlier, and I can totally recommend that you get the eau de toilette concentration of this beautiful Chanel Les Exclusifs fragrance. The next one on my list is called Pour un Homme, and it's by the House of Caron. It's also a French perfume house, and this one really focuses a lot on lavender. So it's almost exclusively a lavender type fragrance. It's really quite old school. Also looking at the bottle, you will see that it's a really type of old school fragrance. It's been around since the 30s, I think. So it's really an old school men's cologne based around lavender. It has some kind of tonka bean in it and some sweet development in the dry down. So it's really an awesome fragrance. And I think it totally deserves place number 8 on my personal list. On place number 9, sorry. On place number 8, we have the original Fougère Royale by Houbigand. It's really a nice fragrance. I think you should definitely try it if you haven't already, because it's an absolute classic, and you will immediately see why it's been the name giver for this type of category of fragrances, because it's really a fougere fragrance in its purest form. It contains lavender, it contains aromatic notes, it contains oak moss, so that's all the fragrance notes that you usually have in a fougere type fragrance. For me, it's a little bit of old school. So I personally like old school fragrances, but it has some of those daddy and grandpa type of vibes to me. So that's why it's so far down the list, but I think it's a good fragrance to try if you just want to know what an original fougere fragrance smells like. Now next on my list there is the fragrance, let me check which one I had next up. It is called Masculin Pluriel by Maison Francis Coq Jeanne, or MFK as you call it. And this is one of the not so much known type of fragrances by the house. You are probably familiar with the likes of Baccarat Rouge 540 with Oud Satin Mood, or maybe also Grand Soir, which is a fantastic ambery type fragrance. You all probably know these fragrances, but Masculin Pluriel is an awesome fougere fragrance. It's a lavender fragrance as well, and has some of those metallic notes and kind of a little bit of a synthetic side. I think that the MFK fragrances all smell very clean and very sophisticated and very sleek, and that kind of gives me the impression always that there must be some kind of synthetic notes in it. I don't know why, but to me they often smell very clean and very sleek. They are all awesome for everyday use. So if you're looking for the perfect everyday fragrance, you should definitely check out this house. So Masculin Pluriel is a very deserved place number 7. On place number 6, I personally chose the fragrance At the Barbers by Maison Margiela. With these fragrances, so with the fragrances by the house of Maison Margiela, you always get what's in the name. So you have By the Fireplace, which smells like you were at the fireplace. You have At the Barbers, which smells like you're at the barbers, and so on and so forth. So this one is really what it's all about. It smells like a barbershop. However, it doesn't last too long, which is why it's not further up the list. So if it had more of a good performance, then I would definitely place it higher, because to me it is the perfect barbershop scent. On place number 5, so top 5 fragrances of the Fougere category, is the fragrance Au Noir by Dior. It is a really classic and very nicely done cologne for men. I think theoretically it's even a unisex fragrance, so it can be worn by women as well. But to me it's a beautiful fragrance based around lavender with beautiful citrusy top notes and a nice woodsy dry down. Unfortunately, this one is going to be discontinued in the future. So there have been 3 fragrances that have been discontinued. It's Au Noir, it's Mizza, and there is another third one which won't be sold anymore in the future. You can still get them in the stores. So I went to Paris last weekend, and I definitely was able to get 1 bottle of Mizza, and you can also still order it from online. And Au Noir is also still available in the stores in the 250 milliliter size, so not the smallest bottles but the medium-sized ones. However, it's going to be discontinued, which is really sad, because I think it's an awesome Fougere fragrance and a really nice modern interpretation of this classic genre. Then place number 4, for me personally, it's now getting really serious. We have the fragrance Danger Parfum Cologne by the house of Roja Parfums. This one is at place number 4 because it's really kind of expensive for what it does, but it's a really awesome type of Fougere fragrance, which has this typical sparkly Roja Parfums top note. So if you know Roja Parfums, you know what it's all about. It has a really nose-catching and attention-grabbing kind of top note, and it's really a modern take on a classic Fougere, so it smells really modern. It has some nice leathery notes in the base, so it's really an awesome interpretation, a modern interpretation of a Fougere fragrance. So place number 4, Roja Parfums Danger Parfum Cologne. Place number 3 is again a very daddy type of fragrance, but I think for the price it's an absolute steal. So this is the fragrance Eau Sauvage by Dior. It comes in a really beautiful vintage type of bottle. Unfortunately, this bottle has a plastic cap, so if it had a metal cap it would be even better. But I think it's just a beauty to look at, and it's a beautiful, very classic men's fragrance. If you get the Eau de Toilette version, you will get this typical Fougere note. If you get the Parfum version, you will get some kind of licorice note in it as well. So it's really creative and beautiful, and I think it's, if you want to pull it off, it's an awesome fragrance. It has some kind of daddy vibes, but if you are in this like barbershop scene and you maybe have a beard or something, then it's going to look, it's going to smell awesome on you as well. Place number 2 is a Tom Ford fragrance. It's also further up this list because it has become so inexpensive, because it was in the private blend collection being way more expensive than it is today, and they decided to downgrade it to the signature type of collection. So I was in contact with some people working at Tom Ford, and they told me basically if Tom Ford decides that a fragrance is supposed to be cheaper in the cheaper line, then they are just going to do it. And if he says he wants a rose fragrance with caramel in it, then they are also going to do it as well. So this company is very driven by Tom Ford himself. So he basically decided that he wanted this fragrance to be no longer in the private blend line and in the signature line instead. So this is why it's really kind of cheap, and it still gives you more or less the same quality that you had with a private blend fragrance. It smells a little bit more synthetic to the private blend one. I did compare them in the past, but I still think it's really an awesome deal for this type of price point. And regarding the DNA, it's really a beautiful modern fougere type of fragrance. It really smells like this classic barbershop kind of thing, but turned modern in a modern twist. It's super elegant and super daily, like driver kind of thing. And I think it's an awesome fragrance, one of the best by Tom Ford. So I think you should definitely get it, and it's a very, very good place number 2. And on place number 1, I have placed my personal very favorite fougere type of fragrance that I ever tried, and it is called New York Intense by the house of Parfums de Nicolai. Now this is a French perfumery that if you do travel to Paris, or if you did travel to Paris, you maybe have already seen it, but if you do travel to Paris in the future, please go check them out, because they have a couple of boutiques all around the city, and she still does it all by herself, and that's really, really nice. They also come up with different fragrances each year. And this one has been one of their most popular ones, and I think it is really the best one they have done so far. So this is a beautiful fougere fragrance. It really has a significant type of warmth beneath it, so it has some resinous notes that really make this a very warm fragrance, and they harmonize extremely well with the lavender in my opinion. Then some citrusy and peppery top notes that are a total head turner. So this one is really awesome. This is my travel bottle. So this is actually my 30 ml travel size that I got with my latest purchase, and I also have a 100 ml in my cupboard as well. So really, really good fragrance that I can't get enough of. This is a really deserved place number 1, and I think places number 1 to 3 are really far above the other ones. So this has been my personal top 10 list of fougere fragrances. If you needed inspiration in this, then I hope that you really got some kind of nice advice and tips from this video. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. If you have a favorite fougere fragrance that you haven't seen on this list, please leave a comment in the comment section down below telling me about it, because I really want to get into this even more, and if you have some nice fragrances for me to try, then I will definitely make sure to try them in the future. Also, if you haven't subscribed already, please leave a sub. The button is just below this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, and bye bye.